So let's review some of the parts of the research, of the structure of a research article. And today, although the language of this webinar is English, yeah, I will mention some of the important points also in Russian language and Kazakh language. If you have any questions, you can refer them to my colleague, Aigerim Kajigalieva today. Yeah. Right. So the goal of this session is to provide advice about how to properly structure your scientific article, what to include, and how many sections are there, and how do we call those sections. Okay. Right. So бұл вебинар ғылыми мақаланың құрылымына арналған. Мен Назарбаев университетінің жоғары білім беру мектебінің докторантымын. And бастап кетейік. Okay. So the agenda for today's online webinar, yeah, is the following. So the structure of the research article includes the abstract, the introduction, the literature review, the methods, the results and findings. Okay. Right. The discussion and conclusion. So, okay, right. Ғылыми мақаланың құрылымы аңдатпа нені қамтиды? Аңдатпа біріншіден кіріспе, әдебиетке шолу, әдіснама бөлігі, нәтижелер бөлігі, пікірталас бөлігі, қорытынды бөлігі. Right. Так, давайте же посмотрим теперь на структуру, саму структуру научной статьи. Что она в себя включает? Помимо основных частей. Обязательно это заголовок, да, статьи, имена авторов, либо одного автора, организация, в которой работает автор, да, и далее уже та структура, которая должна быть в любой, да, научной статье, которая должна включать. Первое – это абстракт, далее введение, да, методы, методология, результаты, да, то есть ваши находки, заключение. Но также в некоторых журналах, которые вы подаете, также могут быть такое требование, что нужно включить, упомянуть, да, то есть благодарность, например, супервайзеру, да, человеку, который руководил, да, научным проектом, например, да, если вы докторант, например, да, или магистрант. Также, возможно, это спонсоры, да, вашего научного исследования, да, и, соответственно, последнее – это источники. Обязательно указывать источники, откуда вы брали, соответственно, те или иные источники, которые входили в обзор литературы. Okay, great then. So let's start. Let's start looking at usual structure, yeah, of this research article. Yeah, so this is just an example here. These green arrows will show you and guide you so of how to read the research article. Okay, so here we have the example from the International Journal of Technology in Education. Here we see the volume, the number of the volume, the issue, yeah, year of publication, international standard serial number, the title, then the names of the authors, yeah. On the left, we see some details when this article was submitted and accepted here. Yeah, sometimes some journals require to include this information. Yeah, right, and the keywords. So in this case, we have the title, which is Challenges and Benefits of Blended Learning in Higher Education. Right. Now, but I'm very, very curious about this part, yeah? So I've asked this question, and also, like, I hope that you know this part and how do we call this part. So you can answer my questions just by typing your answers into the chat, okay? So how do we call this part of this research article, yeah? Any research article. So this is a very important part, right? At any time, just start typing your answers, okay? Okay, right. So this part is called Exactly, right? Okay. The abstract, yeah, I see. Good. Absolutely right. Thank you so much. Okay. Right. Just type your answers, yeah. Whenever you have the answer, yeah, or a question, or a question. Good. Good. So research articles contain many sections, and each one has a definite purpose. Uh, at the beginning are the title, abstract, and keyword sections, yeah, which I've mentioned, which all play important roles in allowing the article to be easily found, indexed, and advertised to potential readers. So you need to make these sections informative, attractive, and effective so that the article is easy to index and search. So the main text of the article is summarized like this. I am, or let me write this one. IMRAD, so which stands for I, introduction, M, methods, R, results, and D, discussion. Okay, IMRAD, acronym, introduction, methods, results, and discussion. So this is where you present your work and convey the main messages and findings effectively. Right. Okay, so note that, so there is one important point here. So note that the reader's time is not unlimited. So you need to make your article as concise as possible. So, okay, and the last group of sections brings up the end of the manuscript and include conclusion, as I've mentioned, acknowledgements, yeah, references, and supporting materials. Okay, great. Now, let's talk about the title here, yeah. Okay, so as I've mentioned, so this part we call the abstract. So talking about the title, yeah, so let's look at each section and what it contains. So starting with title, there are certain characteristics of effective titles. So they should attract the reader's attention, contain the fewest possible words adequately, and describe content, be informative for sure, and be concise. So identify the main issue without using a technical jargon and abbreviations, but you need to use formal academic language. And also, it's advisable to discuss the title with your co-authors. So if you want to write the article with a group of authors, you need to consult with them how to give titles. So what kind of title should be there in your article? Right. So another point is that you need to remember that editors and reviewers don't like titles that make no sense or fail to represent the subject matter adequately, and maybe even more important. Okay. Right. And you want the appropriate audience to read your paper for sure. Yeah. For example, the policymakers, yeah, the faculty, yeah, in education, teachers, students. So, right. So pay attention to the title. So the title is very, very important. So it should catch the reader's attention. Right, good. Let's now go on to the abstract part. Okay. Before talking about the abstract, also I want to mention, I want to say a couple of words about the keywords. Yeah, so the keywords are the labels or tags where your manuscript, your article, yeah, are used by indexing and abstracting services. So you need to avoid words that have broad meaning. So keywords should be specific enough to give someone a very quick idea about the contents of your paper. So for example, when we search for some articles in some search engines like Scholar, yeah, or some databases, so we look at the keywords. So whether these keywords are somehow interconnected with our research topic, okay? Right. Now, talking about the abstract. So the abstract is freely available, okay? So freely available in electronic abstracting and indexing services, such as Scopus, yeah, Web of Science. So the abstract should be a single paragraph summarizing the problem, the methods, the results, and the conclusions. So the abstract acts as an advertisement, so for your article. So since it's freely available via online searching and indexing, so you want to make it as catchy and accurate as possible to have the greatest impact. So an abstract written clearly will strongly encourage the reader to read the rest of your paper. So you need to pay attention to the writing of the abstract. And this is what I have mentioned earlier, that many professional authors and researchers, they recommend writing the abstract at the very end of your research paper. Okay, so the abstract should be as brief as possible. Okay, so take time to write the abstract very carefully. Right, good. So, and here we see the building, actually, yeah, the process of writing, building the article. So let's look at this part now. The sequence of writing the article is not the same as reading it. For example, when we start reading, we start with the title, yeah, the abstract and keywords. So for most scientific fields, yeah, the most efficient way is to regard the manuscript as a whole and build it brick by brick. Okay, so you start with producing your tables, yeah, when you finish your research. Figures with captions, yeah, legends. Then you describe the methods, yeah, for sure. Then the results and the discussion around these results. Okay, so the conclusion, yeah, should flow on from this fairly easily. Then you write your introduction as to where your work fits into the field as a whole, you know. And finally, you write the title, the abstract, yeah, and keywords. The process of building the article is easier, more logical, this kind of process, as some professional researchers state, and more effective than trying to write an article in the sequence it is read. Okay, but it is suggested that you need to start writing it when you have everything. Okay, so like if you don't have anything, you don't know how to conduct this research, you don't know anything about your methods, yeah. So like there is no sense to start like writing like this one. It is suggested to start writing it from the bottom up. Okay, when you have everything. So you're clear about the methods, you have your findings, you know about your discussion part, and also as earlier, so it was mentioned by some of my colleagues. So introduction and conclusion. So these sections are really, really important. You need to pay attention to them. Okay, great then. So I have this very straightforward question. What is the purpose of the abstract? Yeah, so you have heard a lot about the abstract. What is the purpose of the abstract? So type in any answers that you have, yeah, in mind, anything that I have mentioned, right, just in one word, in 2 words. What is the purpose of the abstract? So, okay, I see people typing, right? Okay. Great, okay, so to give a general overview, exactly, okay, summary of the article, absolutely, exactly, yeah, so yeah, this is something that I've mentioned, yeah, right, okay, okay, right. Сонымен аңдатпамыз не кіреді, yeah? Что входит в абстракт, в аннотацию, соответственно. Meaning of the article. Okay, perfect. Good. So let's look at this now straightforward answer. Yeah. So abstract gives an overview. Absolutely, all of you were right. Overview of the whole article, including its conclusion. So abstract briefly summarizes the whole article. Also, it includes each section. Okay, don't forget the information from each section. Some words about the methods you have used. Yeah. Some words about your findings for sure, yeah. Some words from your discussion, yeah, and conclusion. So it's like this part is very important because at this stage you want to sell your article, and the abstract plays a very, very important role in this. Okay, right, now let's look at the introduction. Yeah, the introduction is used to provide context for your article and convince readers why your work advances a field of study. So you need to be concise in the introduction. It would give the reader enough information to understand why your work is important. So introductions are essential parts, of any research papers, research articles. So this section shouldn't be a kind of history lesson, but you do need to introduce the main research publications on which your work is based, cite a couple of original and important works, including recent review articles, to give the reader a sense of how your work fits into the literature. Also, however, take care to not to make citations to irrelevant references, including your own. Right. So you need to make sure you clearly address the following. What is the problem? What is the problem you're ultimately trying to solve? You need to identify the solutions and limitations. So are there any limitations? What is your work trying to achieve? And you need to provide a perspective that is consistent with the journal, with the scope of the journal where you're submitting your article. So, and be sure, to include your problem statement in the introduction, right? Your objectives, what is the purpose, and then you smoothly introduce your literature review, okay? Right, at this point. Great. Now, again, a very straightforward question here. What is the purpose of the introduction? What is the purpose of the introduction? В чем цель введения? Кіріспенің жалпы мақсаты неде? Okay, right? Yeah, okay. Yeah, I see, great, okay. Right. Okay. Okay, great. So yeah, I received some answers here. So introduction introduces the topic and context, a brief background information and a rationale, for the research. Okay. Great. Now let's move on to the literature review. Literature review, әдебиетке шолу. Right. So this is a very important part. Why? Because you need to cite a relevant literature on the topic, to find out what was published, there on your topic. Any seminal works, you need to find out very interesting articles, to support your argument, to identify if there was any progress so far, So, and it's very recommended, it's a very important point to include relevant recent publications, So afterwards you will identify, so if there were any kind of achievements, in the field, any limitations of recent works. So what makes it easier for you, like to find out those kind of limitations, is that research articles, they include this part, which is called limitations, and there you can find very interesting information, so which can support your arguments, support your research questions, and based on that you will find some gaps in the literature, okay, and you need to find out the right methods, the right methods of how to fill that gap, okay, right. Great then. So әдебиеттерге шолу, мысалы жоспарланған зерттеу тақырыбы бойынша, шетел авторларының мысалы жарияланған жұмыстарды зерттеу, басқа мәліметтерді іздеу кезінде бірнеше критерийлер есте сақтау қажет. мысалы мәлімет тақырыпқа сай болу қажет, дәлелдеген ақпарат болу қажет, өзекті ақпарат болу қажет. Сол әртүрлі мәліметтерді мәлімет көздері болу қажет ішінде. Итак, обзор литературы, да, состоит из основных частей. То есть обязательно нужно посмотреть, что было опубликовано на вашу тематику, да, и чтобы литература также включала в себя что-то новое, да, то есть недавно, да, были какие-то недавние публикации на эту тему, насколько они были важными, соответственно, да, некоторые открытия, скажем, да, новизна. И, соответственно, в этой литературе также нужно будет найти какие-то, да, пробелы, да, пробелы, то есть, соответственно, в научной статье есть обязательно какие-то пробелы, которые могут помочь вам выстроить, как, да, достичь такого, да, момента, чтобы, да, найти правильные методы, методологию, да, соответственно, как в своей статье, соответственно, разработать те пути, те методы, которые помогут вам закрыть именно те пробелы, которые были, например, допущены другими авторами. То есть вот таким образом научная среда, научное исследование продолжается. То есть это что-то вроде как, скажем, эстафеты, да, когда один исследователь исследует одну сферу, да, также он включает какие-то пробелы, которые были в его исследовании, другой исследователь приходит, берет эти пробелы и продолжает это исследование, чтобы выявить, что было еще, да, что мог другой исследователь упустить. Okay, right then. Now, so I want to mention some tools here, yeah, for the literature review. So I thought it would be very interesting for you to look at some of the very, very popular tools for doing your literature review. So, for example, for extracting, yeah, or for some citation, you can use such tools as Zotero, Mendeley, yeah, EndNote, yeah, which is the part of Web of Science group. And also for actually searching for the right literature, you can go to Google Scholar. Right, let me just send you a couple of links, right, so to those programs, yeah, right, okay. Okay, good. Okay, so these tools are very useful. These tools are very useful. So you can go to the link and search for more information about how to use those tools in doing your literature review. То есть вот данные, да, программы, они очень полезны, да, Zotero, Google Scholar, да, Mendeley, EndNote, для того, чтобы структурировать, да, и также правильно цитировать вашу литературу в вашей научной статье. Okay. Great then. So another question is, what is the purpose of the literature review? Okay. So a couple of answers, just you can, yeah, go on typing. Right. What is the purpose of the literature review? Okay. So the literature review presents an overview of relevant recent research in the field, and the literature review summarizes selectively, okay, selectively the main points in the relevant literature. But again, yes, exactly. Okay, to show the evidence. Okay, right. Yeah, that's interesting. To give academic weight, I see. Great, okay. Okay, very interesting answers here. Okay, but I want to mention one more important point is that the literature review is not just merely a summary of the literature. Okay, so you need to critically and systematically review the literature. Okay, so it's not only about just like what was found by several authors, yeah, and like now I'm reporting it. No, so you need to pay attention to the paraphrasing, synthesizing the literature. This is some of the things that will be mentioned further by my colleagues in further webinars. Great, thank you for your answers. Yeah, they are great. They're all great. Right. So now let's look at another part, yeah, which is called the methods. Yeah, the methods section. The methods section describes how you studied the problem. Yeah, it is important to be detailed here because a knowledgeable reader should be able to reproduce this research. Yeah. Any previously published procedures shouldn't be rewritten in detail. So those can be noted in the references or described in the supporting materials section. So the equipment, yeah, the tools, okay, and materials used in experiments, for example, yeah, should be identified along with their sources. So, and what else? So if your work involves humans, it must follow applicable ethics standards, okay? So ethics clearance is very important here. So, and approval of a local ethics committee is required and should always be specified at this point in writing a methods section. In the manuscript, okay? In the covering letter or the online submission system. So many journals, they have their online submission systems, so where they indicate so of how you need to prove that your research was ethical, okay? So this is another very important point, ethics in research, which will be covered further by my colleagues. Great, right, stay tuned, yeah? Now, some of the questions here, yeah, as you see, so the methods, it includes the questions, it should include the answers to questions of how, yeah, you conducted your research and when did you conduct it. The methodology, study design, whether you did a qualitative research or quantitative research, yeah. How did you sample the participants, yeah, sampling methods, yeah, another part. If we summarize it, data collection procedures. So what will you do? Yeah, so it should be written in step by step. Yeah, and also how did you analyze your data? Okay, so whether it was quantitative, you analyzed it using some software. Yeah, if it was a qualitative, again, did you use a software or just did you use other strategies? Yeah, while analyzing your data. Great then. Now, so again, straightforward question. What is the purpose of the methods section? What is the purpose of the methods section in a research article? Okay, a couple of answers again. So be active. Okay, exactly, да. В чем цель, да, методологии, да, то есть методов. Әдіснама бөлігінің мақсаты неде? Okay, so to describe tools, the sites, exactly the sites where you conducted your research and sampling, great. And it helps with data collection. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Чтобы указать виды методов. Ага. Okay. Так. Great. A very nice interaction here, I see. Okay. Excellent. Great. Now, the method section shortly describes how the research was carried out. Yeah. And also it should be objective. Yeah, it should be objectively written. Yeah, it shouldn't include any opinion of the researcher. Yeah, okay, bear this information in mind. Okay, so to avoid any kind of bias. Okay, то есть чтобы избежать какой-то двумысленности, да, то есть эта часть статьи вообще в целом, как бы вся статья, эта часть в особенности, она должна отражать только объективную информацию, да. Какие методы вы использовали для того, чтобы собрать данные, да. Great, excellent then. Now. Let's go to the results and findings section. Yeah. Right. So moving on to the results section. So this is where you describe the important results or findings of your research. Some authors mention that why do we call it results? Sometimes we call it results. Sometimes we call it findings. So for one field of the research, yeah. So for example, if you conduct quantitative research, so you're gonna call this part the results, yeah. If you conduct a qualitative research, yeah, so you're gonna call this part of findings, yeah. But if you include this kind of the results and findings, it's also appropriate. But this is how like you may differentiate it. Okay. То есть авторы отмечают, да, исследователи также, почему мы называем, да, эту часть именно результаты. Иногда мы можем увидеть просто результаты, а где-то вот именно результаты как findings, да, соответственно. То есть findings пишется, когда вы, например, используете качественные методы исследования, а результаты, когда вы используете, например, количественные методы исследования. Okay. Right. Okay. Yeah. Анализ исследования. Отлично. Okay, хорошо. Now, also a couple of words about the methods section here. You need to have subheadings in your methods section, yeah, to keep the results of the same type together, for example. So this will make the results easier to review and read. So you need to know these subsections for the convenience of internal cross-referencing, and you need to be logical. Yeah, you need to have the logical order of the data that tells a clear story. So you need to highlight those findings and further understanding in the field of those that differ from previous findings. This is where you go back to your literature review and cite and see and compare and evaluate some results. Okay, right. And this part is a very important part again. Okay, so your data are the driving force of the paper. So therefore your figures and illustrations are critical and they should be used for essential data only. Okay, and also if you have some graphs, yeah, so the graphs are often used to compare some experimental results, yeah, with those of previous works or with calculated theoretical values, right? Okay, so and you can use them inside or otherwise you can put them in the supplementary material section and make them as easy to read as possible. Okay, additionally, you should highlight findings that differ from previous findings, as well as highlight findings that further understanding in the field. So don't forget about the illustrations if you have any, yeah, tables, figures, yeah, because they are the most efficient way to present your results. Okay. Right. Yes, sure, Zarina. I can share my presentation, yeah, after I finish this webinar. Exactly. Right then. In short, it includes different types of data you have collected or you have gathered, textual or numeric. Again, it depends on your research design, whether it's quantitative, it's going to be numeric data. If it's qualitative, it's going to be textual data. Any significant findings, okay? So this is how you go back to your literature review again, yeah, and compare some significant findings different to those which were found in other research by other researchers. Give supporting information, yeah, to your significant findings, and this is how you provide a bigger story, a bigger picture, yeah, for the whole of your story, okay, research story. Great then. So what is the purpose of the results section? Okay, то есть в чем, какова цель, да, части результатов, да, научной статьи? Okay, great. Okay, wow. Yeah, I have very interesting answers here. Okay, also from my colleagues. Great. Excellent. Okay, указывать факты, абсолютно. Okay, которые вы нашли, да? Okay, to describe data findings, respondents' answers, observation notes. Great, very nice interaction here. Absolutely. Okay, now the results section summarizes, yeah, the main findings of the research. Yeah, so this is how you can just memorize. Yeah, how to refer to this part. Yeah, simply. Okay. Great. Now let's move on to the discussion part. So what do we need to know about the discussion part? So the discussion section is where you interpret what your results mean. This is the most important section of the article. This is where you get the chance to sell your data. A huge number of manuscripts articles are rejected because this discussion is weak or only includes mere description of the results. So it shouldn't be descriptive, okay? Make sure the discussion corresponds to and complements the results, but do not simply repeat the results here, okay? So in the findings section, you just state your findings, okay? But in the discussion, you're going to interpret your findings. So this is the main difference here. Bear in mind. Again, compare other published results with your own and do not ignore work in disagreement with yours, okay? So you need to include all relevant citations, yeah, for further understanding in the field. Okay, so your message should be complete, yeah, before you start writing or submit your article. Again, for the ease of your understanding, yeah, so discussion should include interpretations of the results or findings, as you like, evaluation of those findings, yeah, referring back to the cited papers in the literature review, yeah, restating important points from results or findings, and this is how you tell a story. Okay, so yeah, I've mentioned about this for several times. Yeah, so this is how you tell your story. Okay, great then. Now, what is the purpose of the discussion section? So you have heard a lot about this part, about this section of the research article. What is the purpose? Какова цель, да, части обсуждения? Да? Какова цель части обсуждения? Пікірталас бөлігінің мақсаты неде? So any answers? Right. Yeah, I think, yeah, there is a video recording of this webinar. Yeah. Okay, I think, yeah, you will have the opportunity to watch it. Okay. Approbation of results. Okay. I've got some answers. Interpretation of findings. Absolutely. Okay. You are very active, guys. Okay. Great. Okay. Так. Можно сравнивать результаты. Однозначно. Да, сравнивать результаты, которые были выявлены другими исследователями, да, и насколько вы также, да, продвинули, да, свое исследование в своей сфере, и в чем отличие, да, то есть как мы можем оценить это все. Right. Great. So the discussion section interprets and evaluates the findings and their significance. Again, this is for your ease, yeah, of understanding and memorizing, yeah, this part. Okay. Right. It's really good. It's really good. Now we have come to the conclusion section here. Okay. So what do we need to know about the conclusion part? Yeah. The conclusion is used to show how your work advances the field of study. Yeah, whether it's the education, yeah, or other scientific fields. Yeah, so you need to be clear in the conclusion. Yeah, to help the reviewers and editors judge your work and its impact. You need to provide clear justification for how your work advances the field. This can be achieved by indicating uses, extensions, or applications of the work. Yeah, so don't just repeat the abstract here, okay? So the abstract and conclusion serve different purposes, yeah? Although some of the same messages may be mentioned here, but you don't have to list the experimental results here. This is the conclusion, right? And trivial restatements of your results are unacceptable in this section. So you need to have final say on importance and significance of your research. Indicates the limitations. Why do you indicate these limitations? Yeah, again, you provide some ground for further research. Yeah, for other researchers to continue your research. Yeah, you need to include your limitations. Any recommendations for future work. Yeah, if you have any recommendations for policymakers, for example. Yeah, for universities, yeah, in the field, or some organizations, yeah, some very important stakeholders, yeah, who should be interested in your research, in your findings, yeah. Right. And finally, so yeah, recommendations for policy change, yeah. Great then. Again, so question, what is the purpose of the conclusion? What's the purpose of the conclusion? Какова цель заключения, да, статьи? Қорытынды бөлігінің мақсаты неде? Any answers? Any answers? Okay, right. So what is the purpose of the conclusion? Ага. Да, выводы по результатам. Okay, summarize results. Okay, at some point, yeah. Right, okay. Conclusion summarizes final comments and provides recommendations for further research to improve the study. Wow, it's great. It's great. Okay, so all of you have now a clear picture, yeah, of how to write the conclusion part, yeah, of your article. Great. This is absolutely great. So the conclusion section summarizes, yeah, and restates the findings and discussion points. Okay, again, this is easier to remember. Yeah, just right. Yeah, make recommendations and okay, right, and directions. Perfect. Okay, now, so what I want to also mention, so I want to show you the possible article journey, the manuscript journey. So what happens when you submit your article to journal? Yeah. So you submit, you make a submission, initial submission. Yeah. It goes straight forward. It goes straight to the editorial review. Okay. So then they have reviewers. Yeah. Sometimes they're called blind reviewers. Yeah. They send it for review. So and these reviewers will see whether they accept your article or reject, yeah, your article. Okay, so they have their own decisions. Based on these decisions, they will so like consider your article. Okay, so if they accept, so again they send it after the revision. They send it to editorial review again, based on reviewers' recommendations and comments. So they invite some revision. Again, based on that, they reject or accept your publication. Okay, if they accept, okay, it's great. So they will send it to editing and publication. Okay, то есть это то, как выглядит структура, то есть того, через что проходит ваша статья, которую вы публикуете, собираетесь публиковать, да, когда вы отправляете на публикацию в журнал. То есть, соответственно, это такая структура, общая структура. Вы, значит, подаете, да, свою статью. Она автоматически уходит в редакцию, да, журнала, они рассматривают ее. Соответственно, на основе рассмотрения они отправляют ревьюерам, то есть это люди, которые специалисты в своей сфере, то есть кто-то из образования, кто-то из сферы других точных наук, например, да, и смотрят, да, насколько хорошо написана ваша статья. На основе этого они отправляют вам обратно вашу статью, да, для поправок, например, либо не принимают. Если принимают, то, опять же, они рассматривают ее совместно с редакцией, да, журнала на основе комментариев, да, людей, которые, соответственно, просмотрели вашу статью, дали рекомендации, и, соответственно, уже они приглашают публиковать, да, либо они отказывают на основе того, что нужна какая-то доработка, да, вашей статье. Если, соответственно, они принимают, и ваша статья уже уходит в редакцию, да, и уже, соответственно, у вас есть первая публикация, либо последующая публикация, да, то есть это уже самый такой счастливый, да, момент, когда вы уже публикуете свою статью. Окей, а если особые требования к списку литературы, да, обязательно указывать издания за последние 5-10 лет. Вообще, на самом деле, спасибо за вопрос, нужно указывать литературу, которая, скажем, да, она недавняя, и, соответственно, которая она отражает, да, последние данные по той тематике, которую вы хотите исследовать, и по той тематике, которую вы хотите, по которой вы хотите писать. То есть я думаю, если, например, литература включает в себя очень давние какие-то данные, да, например, за 20 или за 30 лет, я думаю, это не совсем актуально, да, включать их. Но то, что за последние, да, скажем, 5 лет, например, либо, может быть, даже 2 года, да, или год, да, это будет интересно, конечно. Потому что на основе последних, да, данных, да, современных, вы можете продвинуть свою, да, точку зрения, свою научно-исследовательскую работу и показать, что, да, еще другая еще сфера на основе последних данных, еще она не была исследована до конца. И на основании этого, соответственно, вы строите свои аргументы. Okay? Right. Еще один момент, который я хотел бы также указать. Статьи, они отличаются тем, что есть аналитические статьи, есть эмпирические статьи. Аналитические, когда вы анализируете какую-то теорию, например, да, либо делаете обзор литературы по какой-то теме, да, и показываете, насколько это важно. Эмпирические – это когда вы уже, соответственно, делаете практическое исследование, да, то есть вы идете в какую-то организацию, создаете опросник, да, то есть уже работаете с участниками, да, то есть проходите через все этапы, про которые я вам рассказывал с самого начала. Okay. Right. So, and one more thing, which should be mentioned is that, like, there are two types of articles. Yeah. So actually, there are many types, but two types are very important. I think, like, the first is analytical. So if you want to write something about the kind of current theory, or like a theory that should be updated somehow, yeah, or like you do a kind of literature review on your research. And another part is empirical research articles. Empirical research articles where you go, for example, to the actual site, yeah, you collect your data, you gather your data, you interview the participants, you go through all of the stages which I have mentioned throughout this webinar. Okay, right. Now I have my last question here, yeah, if you don't mind, dear participants. What are your two takeaways from this webinar? What are your two takeaways from this webinar? Да, и здесь у меня последний вопрос к вам, уважаемые участники. Какие вот две вещи самые такие, да, важные, да, которые вы узнали на сегодняшнем вебинаре для себя? Да? Что вы узнали из сегодняшнего вебинара? Да? Что для вас было очень интересно узнать? Один или два, да, например, моменты. Что было важно? Особенности структуры статьи, да? Okay, research article are precisely written and well structured. Wow, great. Okay, yeah. Результаты. Хорошо. Right. Anything else that will be useful for you? Useful resources and review process. Wow, great. Okay. I have got the okay reply. How to write paper and where I can find highs for articles. Okay. Структура, результаты. Great. Okay. Somebody have a question about the method section. Okay. Bernard, yeah? Okay. Okay, let's go to the method section. Here we go. Yeah. Okay. So if one is using mixed methods approach, yeah, how do you go about addressing sampling, data collection, and data analysis? So actually, you know, like there is a certain steps, yeah, there are certain steps which you need to include when you do your mixed methods approach, because partially it should include the sections from the qualitative research, yeah, and another part should include from quantitative research. So, and how do you addressing sampling in this case? The sampling methods are different in both research designs, in both qualitative and quantitative research designs. So, and how you do this? Actually, I recommend you to look through all the sampling methods in qualitative research and quantitative research. And based on your research questions, yeah, which you put in your introduction, yeah, so you need to decide which sampling is the best one, yeah, for your specific research topic, okay? And this is very important. And thank you for this very important question here, because sampling is different, yeah, in both research designs, in qualitative and in quantitative. Yeah, thank you. Okay, I hope that you'll find this information helpful. Great. Great then. So I think, yeah, we can wrap up here. Yeah. Thank you so much for coming and attending this webinar. Yeah. Спасибо огромное, что участвовали сегодня на этом вебинаре. Я надеюсь, что информация была очень полезная. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Rahmet. Okay. Okay. Now I think I will give the floor to my colleague, Aigerim.
Hello, dear participants. First, I would like to thank our speaker, Zulyar. Zulyar, thank you for your excellent presentation. And dear participant, thank you for attending our today's webinar, Structure of a Research Article. So we hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions for our speaker, please feel free to send it through the Ask a Question tab at the bottom. And PowerPoint presentation will be available upon request at gsc@nu.edu.kz. And join us for our upcoming webinars. So tomorrow we will have webinars on academic English webinars, building argument in a body paragraph at 2 p.m. and common problems for non-English speakers at 4 p.m. So please feel free to pass this along to colleagues who may be interested. And I'm going to send all this information right now, so you can save this information. Okay.
Okay, great then. Thank you. I agree.
Thank you again.
Thank you, everybody,
for your excellent presentation. And for those who are interested in research methods, please join our webinar, which will be on the 29th of September at 3 o'clock, at 3 p.m. So if you are interested in sampling and research methods, please feel free to join. All this information you can also find on our website and social page on Facebook and Instagram. Okay, that's all.
Okay, goodbye, everyone. Have a nice day. Have a nice evening. Goodbye.
You too. Goodbye.